Testing, testing. Can you hear me there? Let's see here. Okay. Okay. Hi, Paula. Nice to see you. Can you hear me? Just getting set up here. We'll be starting shortly. Okay. Make sure everything's a go. Perfect. Thank you for letting me know. Awesome. Okay. Awesome.
Hi, Diana. How are you?
Good. How are you, Rachel?
Good, good. I'm doing very well. You look nice and cheery today. I love the big smile.
Thank you. Starting to be into that little holiday festive mode here. My kids started decorating my office.
Oh, that's horrible. That's so nice. I did my decorating like, I don't know, probably a week or two ago. It was really premature, but I'm like, if I'm going to be home, Christmas lights make me happy. So I'm putting them up.
Exactly. I have all these lights here beside my bay window. It looks good.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, hi, everyone. So everyone's, we got some messages here from Debbie, Paula. That's great.
Yes. We'll get started shortly here.
And we're connected. So that's amazing. Yeah. I'm going to do a quick intro for you. I wanted to make sure you're all set up and everything's running smoothly. It looks like it is. You're a pro at this. So.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. This looks good. This looks good.
The setup LinkedIn recently. It was like a big thing that you did. What was it? I saw it maybe late last week.
Yeah, I was on LinkedIn Live on their the Get Hired show. Yeah, they were like 80,000 views there. So that was pretty amazing.
80,000?
Yeah. The video went viral.
Wow. So what you talked about? Did you talk about networking?
I talked about best practices, video interviews.
Wow, 80,000. So did you get everyone? You're here with like a celebrity, basically.
I've been busy here. Let's just say I've been busy, been getting a lot of inquiries here.
Wow, that's amazing. So we have our very own celebrity. Yes, Paula says congrats. Same, congrats to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Paula. Yes.
All right. So I'm going to introduce you. I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know there's only 20 minutes. So you're a former recruiter turned career coach, speaker, and trainer at My Marketability. So your website's mymarketability.com, right? So if anyone wants more information, you help ambitious professionals and executives design the next chapter of their life, navigate transformational changes, and land incredible opportunities with 5 to 6 figure salary increase at top companies like Amazon, Google, and Shopify. She's an expert at distinguishing people's unique brand value, mastering their messages, and networking with confidence to gain a competitive edge. You're recognized as one of the top job search experts to follow on LinkedIn and a celebrity. So we just learned that. I added that in. So I will pass it over to you. Very excited about your session. You guys are in amazing hands with Diana here today. So I will be back at the end just to say thanks and help you facilitate any questions anyone might have. I do urge everyone, if you do have questions, to just add them in the session chat. And maybe you'll get to them at the end, Diana. Is that kind of how you'll? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, depending on time.
All right. Yep. So I'll be back. I'm looking forward to your session and we'll see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thanks.
All right. Hello and welcome to today's training on LinkedIn marketing and networking for job seekers. I am so delighted that you're here. If you're here with me live, type in the chat room to say hello. Let me know where you're from and what profession you are in. I'm Diana YK Chan, former recruiter turned career coach, speaker, and trainer at My Marketability. I help ambitious professionals like you to differentiate as top talent to get hired and earn more. Some of my recent success stories in helping clients are I recently helped a C-level executive to get hired into a tech company with an incredible offer, over 6 figures of salary increase. A couple of weeks ago, I also helped another client who made a career change from a senior technical product manager to become a senior sales engineer with also an amazing offer there. I also recently had another client who got promoted from a business analyst role to a senior business analyst role with over a 5-figure salary increase in tech as well. So I'm excited about this talk today. The purpose of this talk today is to help you increase your marketability, visibility, and credibility. Okay. If we're not yet connected, please connect with me on LinkedIn and subscribe to my YouTube channel. So welcome. So great to see many of you here today. All right, so what we're going to cover today is I'm going to walk you through 10 LinkedIn profile optimization tips, 5 LinkedIn job searching tips, and then 5 LinkedIn networking tips. And then finally, we'll wrap it up with 5 LinkedIn content marketing tips. All right, are you guys ready and excited? Do you take notes, okay? Okay, first things first, we're going to dive into the LinkedIn profile optimization tips. Number 1 is first, you want to make sure that you have an 100% complete profile. The reason being is that you are 40 times more likely to get found and receive opportunities. Over 90% of the recruiters use LinkedIn to search for talent. So let me ask you, do you have a complete profile, or do you have more like what I call like a bare bones skeleton profile, meaning where you just have your name and the job titles in there? Okay. If you have a complete profile, you're more likely to get more opportunities. Tip number 2 is that you want to make sure you have a professional picture. Okay, first impression matters. So here on my screen, you'll see some what I consider like more weaker or poor pictures, and then the other side is the stronger pictures. What's the difference here, right? The strong pictures have a bit more of that professional look and vibe as well. I don't recommend pictures where you're in a group setting or where you're not looking at the camera or wearing sunglasses or that you have a distracted background. Okay, it just doesn't make you look pop out there. So I recommend you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money to get it professionally done. These days, you can just use your phone and camera, get someone to do it for you with good natural lighting, neutral color background, and take a sharp picture there. Okay. You are also 14 times more likely to get found with a picture in your LinkedIn profile. Tip number 3 is to have a customized background photo. So this is still relatively new. Not a lot of people do it, but it's a great way to elevate your personal brand as well. So here are 2 examples of what my clients have done. You can find an image that resonates with you, and you can maybe add a keyword in your area of expertise. So for example, digital transformation. My client was a senior product manager, and his specialty is in digital transformation. So he had that in there. I have another client here who just found a picture and had her branding tagline, helping businesses implement channel strategies to drive revenue growth. She's in channel sales, so that's why she has channel strategies to drive growth. Okay, so think about like, what is your brand? What is your tagline? What can you add to that background photo to elevate that first impression there? Tip number 4 is to have a catchy, relevant, and searchable headline, right? So this is right below the name. When a recruiter searches, the first thing they see is what? Really that picture, your name, and the headline. So you want to make sure it's catchy, that gets them to actually click on your profile to review further as well. You also want to make it searchable. So think like a recruiter of what words they use to search. So here's my formula here, is to have your target job title, okay, or the profession that you're in, and then add 2 to 3 keywords that's in your area. So think of keywords that people would search in your area of expertise. Typically, I recommend to more the functional areas versus soft skills. And then add a value statement. So that's like your impact statement of the value you bring. So here are just 2 examples from some of my past clients there. Someone who's at the C-level, who's at the CDO, CTO, CIO level executive, and his area of expertise is digital, data, and business transformation executive. And his value statement is powering solutions that enable millions in revenue. Okay, so that's like a great punchline there, right? And then here's another one, multidisciplinary economist, and then her area of expertise is strategy and foresight, innovation, and her value statement is creating impact through research and collaboration. Okay, so I want you to think about what are those keywords that people search for, and really think about that value statement that you bring to the table. So this is really like the benefits of hiring you there. This can also tie into things that you care about. So for example, like my client cares about research and collaboration. She has those keywords in her statement there. Okay, so this is really important. By default, if you don't make change to it, it is by default just your job title, your title in your most recent role. Okay, another hack, because there is a word limit, to get around the word limit is to update it into your mobile app versus your desktop app. That way you can also make it longer if you wish. Tip number 5 is to have an authentic bio summary. Okay, so this is what I call the premium real estate space, where you can really showcase who you are. Tell your story. A lot of people don't have it or just have a quick blurb about them, but this is really how you differentiate and stand out from your competition as well, right? So think of questions on like, who are you? Why do you do what you do? What have you accomplished? Or what are your top 3 strengths? Where are you heading next in terms of like, what are you looking for? What are you targeting? Get really clear on that. Okay, you have at least 2,000 characters in this space. Really take advantage of it. Okay, I usually recommend like identifying your top 3 unique selling points that really differentiates you. So think of the core competencies in your target role, those key areas that you can elaborate further. And that's a great way to differentiate. Tip number 6 is to have sufficient information for each role. So this is really like the description under each role that you've had. And this is also a great way to stand out. A lot of times people just either have their job title and don't have much information. And it's pretty bare bones there, right? But what you want to include is the scope of your role, which is like the responsibilities, and then your accomplishments and results. So if you can quantify to qualify, that's another great way to differentiate. You can also add in some keywords in here that can make yourself more searchable. Now, what I've also seen people do right now to differentiate, because by default, if people don't, you can collapse the information of your role. If you want people to be able to quickly skim through it, in your job title section, you can have your job title and you can maybe have a hyphen or bracket to elaborate a little bit further, like a tagline of the scope of your role or any like interesting highlights that you want to include to stand out. Okay, so I've seen people do that as well. Tip number 7 is to identify your top relevant skills. So this is really where the reason why we want to do this is to help you increase your searchability. A lot of people don't take advantage of this, but this actually impacts the algorithm to get found. So I want you to really put that thinking hat on, like think like a recruiter. What are the keywords people would use to search? I suggest to avoid using soft skills like communication skills, leadership skills, problem-solving skills. Instead, use more functional skills. So for example, product manager, if that's your target role, you would have product management, user experience, data analysis. So those are more the functional keywords that you can add. And you can pin these as your top 3. You can have up to 50 of them, but identify the top 3 that you want to be endorsed for there. Okay. Tip number 8 is to have strong endorsements and recent recommendations. Okay, again, this is also going to help you with increasing that credibility. By having recommendations, it's also that social proof. If your recommendations are at least 3-5 years ago, I recommend getting some new ones. Ask your colleagues, clients, partners that you've worked with, ask them to write you a testimonial so they can recommend you as well to help increase that credibility there. Okay, what I usually recommend is that instead of just saying, hey, like, can you write me a recommendation, give them some guiding points. So provide them some questions that they can answer or a template that they can fill out there. So for example, what words would they use to describe you? What projects did you guys worked on? What value did you bring? And would you recommend this person to others? Those are some guiding questions that you can provide to help them with framing the recommendation there. Tip number 9 is to customize your LinkedIn URL. So this is really basic, but it also helps with, you can include your own URL in your email signature, in your resume. A lot of times I see by default, it has like these extra characters. All you need to do is to go edit in your profile section to customize it there. Tip 10 is to utilize the featured section. So this is a relatively new feature that LinkedIn launched this year. And this is a way to really showcase things that matter to you there. So think of this almost like a PR section, which is just right below the About Summary section there. So some things that you can feature, what I've seen are, let's say, awards and recognition, the certificates, like any of new training that you've done recently, your latest posts or articles to showcase your expertise, your resume, you can add like a link or a PDF to it as well. Or even you can get more creative by adding a video bio. That's also a great way to showcase your personality and who you are there. Okay, so get creative with that, and there's no limit to that. So for me, I have a lot of my posts and articles, my latest feature on my LinkedIn, Get Hired Live, or on Rogers TV, I have that as well, or a link for people to book a consultation call with me. Think of all the things that you can do that help people to essentially like have that call to action there, okay? All right, so now we're gonna move on into 5 LinkedIn job searching tips there. Tip number 11 is to follow target companies. This is a great way to get insights about the company, and it's also a great way to find people who work at your target companies as well. So follow these target companies to find out the latest news, what type of roles are hiring as well. In there, you can also set job alerts. You can set general job alerts, but by following each company, you can also set job alerts by specific job title and company as well. So that way you get the latest news of when the roles are open and for you to apply. You can also find people, through target company pages by finding people to get introductions and referrals there or get informational interviews. Tip number 13 is to let people know you're open to work. Okay. So this is something they launched this year as well to help people to show, in terms of showcasing people that are looking for work. Some people ask, should I have it or should I not? You know what? It's totally up to you. I think right now, I don't know if that's it helps, but actually it does help from a sense when people are looking, they can quickly see people who are looking for work there. So that's just another feature that you could, that you can also use there. Tip number 14 is to research and find people at your target companies and industry. This is one of my favorite parts of using LinkedIn is to really about researching, of not only just researching a company, but really finding people. So for those who are looking to make that career transition or change into a different industry, a different profession, you can go look at people who made those changes to really study their profile and reach out to them to find out how did they do that. This also helps with interview prep. I really love this feature when it comes to interview prep is to really study a little bit of, the interviewer's profile, what they've done, to also find some sound bites or talking points to build that trust and rapport there. Tip 15 is to use Boolean search strings to find people. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with Boolean search strings, but it's a great way to help you narrow down your focus and your search. So I'm going to give you some tips and advice here. This is what I did as a recruiter when I recruited for Google, for the Ivy Business School, and for like many other top employers as well, is to help you narrow down that search. And so what you typically do is search by keywords or job titles. And you can also narrow your search by location or industry. And then you want to use the and, or the open and close quotation mark. Okay. So whenever you use or, that means this or that, it expands your search. When you use and, it narrows your search there. So here are just some examples and guidelines. If you want to look for, let's say, recruiter or talent acquisition. So whenever you have two words, you want to have the open and close quotation so that it will look for that phrase there. And then you can also look at for hiring. I have seen employers who are hiring, they actually add that in their tagline or in their profile that they're hiring. So it's a great way to find people to network with as well. Okay. I recommend also trying to contact people who are at the manager level, director level, executive level, and you can narrow it down by their profession in their area of specialty that you're targeting. So as an example, if you're targeting the banking sector, it's pretty big, right? If you're targeting the banks, there's so many different groups. So you really need to narrow it down by function, risk management, finance, strategy, whatever that is, you want to narrow down that search there. Okay, so do this exercise. I usually recommend finding at least 100 people to reach out to network with, because not everyone's going to respond back to you and say yes to having an informational chat. So you want to do this exercise where you go through this search, right? Identify those people, put it into a spreadsheet, craft your outreach message, and then connect with them there. This is exactly what I did as a recruiter as well, where I would identify the type of profiles or candidates I'd be looking for, and I would search. Typically, for me to fill one role, I would need to look at over 1,000 profiles to identify my top 50 to 100 candidates to follow up with there. Okay, so this is similar as a job seeker as well, is that you want to go through probably at least 1,000 profiles and find like your top 50 to 100 people to connect with there. Okay, so moving on is to 5 LinkedIn networking tips there. Tip number 16 is to build your network to over 500 connections. Once you reach to 500 connections, it helps with, I think, also connecting with other people in their second, third level connection as well. It also helps you stay up to date with what's happening with people in your network. So I suggest even getting targeted in terms of the type of connections you want to build. So depending on your profession. So for example, I have a client who is in in consulting, in like strategy and auditing, a type of background. So for him, he's been focused on meeting people in that space of consulting, strategy, and auditing there. So you can get specific in terms of having that criteria to help you build a richer network there. Tip number 17 is to personalize your LinkedIn invites or outreach messages. So this is really important. If you really want to get that quicker response, is to add a bit of that customization when you reach out, is to add just that one liner of why you're reaching out or what piqued your interest to reach out there, right? And if you don't have that, or if you've got to do that sometimes, what you can do is when they accept your invite is to follow up with a message like, thank you for connecting. I reached out to you because of XYZ. Tip number 18, once you've reached out to them, you can start that dialogue in LinkedIn Messenger. So a lot of times people ask me, like, how do we really start that conversation or take it offline? Well, first things first is you want to build that relationship, right? By asking open-ended questions. A lot of times we just said like, thanks for connecting, and then that ends the relationship. But what you want to do is think of an open-ended question to ask to start that conversation and dialogue. And through that will help you take that conversation offline through a phone or video there. So the principle of networking that I always talk about is you got to really build relationships and add value. This is all about give, seek to understand, to see how you can help them out. As much as I know a lot of you are in a job seeking position or you're looking for help, you also want to see how you can pay it forward as well. That's how, in terms of making your the relationship network more fun and more enriching as well there. Okay. So a lot of people ask, well, how do I add value as a job seeker when I'm the one who's really seeking for help? It could be simple things like sharing an article, sharing a video, sharing some insights, sharing something that you've learned. It could be simple as that. What you want to do is find out like what's keeping them up at night, or what are the challenges in what they're doing right now. And it doesn't have to be work related. It could be something related to, for example, like it could be something to help with their mindfulness or their well-being, whatever that is. It could be helpful as well by sharing things like that. Okay. Tip number 20 is to engage in people's content, acknowledge and share thoughts. So this is another great strategy to start building the your visibility and the trust factor as well by start commenting on people's content. Now, I recognize not a lot of people do that, right? Because there's only about 1 to 2% of people who actually post content on a consistent basis. Like I'm one of them there. So sometimes you may not be able to find people in your industry who do that. But if you do, let's say find a senior leader or recruiter who posts content consistently, I recommend following them, commenting on their content. That way they're going to recognize your name. So when you reach out to them, it feels like more like a warm introduction there. Okay. All right. So lastly, we're going to move into 5 LinkedIn content marketing tips there. And at their time, I'll take a few questions as well there. Okay. All right, so tip 21 is to share your voice, message, and expertise. So this is all about, essentially speaking up, sharing your opinion, sharing your thoughts. This is a great way to really establish your credibility there. And so as some of you ask me, as you're seeking for a job, how do I really increase that marketability? And one of the things that you want to think about is how can I really share my expertise there? So what you want to do, if you're up for that challenge, is to identify the type of content to write, topics, and target audience, right? I recognize not everyone's a writer, but you don't need to write long form post. It could be just like really short microform post. These days, that's what most people do, which has only about 1,300 characters. So you want to think about the type of content you can write and the topics. So here are some tips, right? You can think about maybe how-to tips of how to do something, advice or hacks, right? It could be key learnings from a training session. Like for example, like in today's training, what you learned, right? You can share your own story or experience or lessons as well. Right? People love to hear stories. It could be a self-promotional announcement. So, if you finish, let's say, a training or received a certificate or like a diploma, it could be something like that, or that you received a promotion. You can share that, because every time that you share, it also gets into your network's feed as well. And that's a great way to stay top of mind there. You can also share industry news, relevant articles, or job postings. That's another way to get into your network's feed there. Okay. So I want you to think about that. It doesn't have to be complex, right? I know for me, because I am a content creator, I do more regular posts, but you can also just think of, in your area of expertise, what can you start sharing? Let's just say that if you're a marketer, you can think about 10 lessons I learned in launching a marketing campaign as an example. Okay. I'll give you an example. I have a client, Max Chan, like he a lot of, some of you are like maybe following him as well. He started posting consistently on a daily basis since May. And in the last 6 months, he pretty much grew his followers or network by 10 times, from like 600 people, I think, when he first started, to now over 7,000 people. And when he first started, he was just testing the waters as well. Wasn't sure what to post. He was talking about various topics. And now his specialty is in the area of personal branding on LinkedIn. And he's also evolved into also having his own side hustle as well, and helping other job seekers with like resume writing, LinkedIn writing as well. Right. So you never know like what new opportunities could come your way there. Tip number 23 is to identify your content delivery method. Is it a post, article, video, slides, or image? What is your preference? Some people could just like to write the text post. That's totally fine. It works well as well. For me, like, I love visual stuff. I love quotes as well. So I usually like to add like an image like this to my post to add that visual element to it. I also create like mini videos, or I'll share like a webinar of a small talk that I have. I also share like articles as well. So you can get creative with what works for you there. Okay, tip number 24 is to research popular hashtags. This is another way to get your content found, right? Identifying popular hashtags. You can just do a Google search and you'll find like a list of top 100 hashtags. But I recommend, depending on your field as well, look for those popular hashtags there. So for example, like I know popular ones like hashtag like management, hashtag leadership, strategy, hashtag like job search. That's another big one. Whatever that is in your field, just search for it. Identify those top 10 that you can use on a regular basis there. Lastly, is to really build your brand and credibility with consistent posts. So this is all about elevating, right? Elevating the visibility, the marketability, and credibility. And in order to do that, you have to be consistent with putting yourself out there. I know it may seem uncomfortable at first, but this is where, if you want to establish your brand and really differentiate, is also having that voice to share there. Okay. So I hope you found this helpful, and some tips on LinkedIn to help you with your marketing and building your network there. So let me also take a moment to see if there are questions that I can answer. If you're looking for some more tips, feel free to visit my website at mymarketability.com, where you can also receive free 10-day Job Search Mastery Challenge. And I also recently created a really great, robust training on a free interview prep training that has all sorts of videos and checklists as well. And feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn and YouTube. Thanks so much.
That was amazing. That was a lot of tips in that little time period. That was really good. You're very efficient. I know we had a few questions. I know we have Canon coming up at 1:50, so I think we have a couple minutes, if that's okay.
Sure.
I know we had a couple questions, the most recent ones. What if soft skills are critical to the role? It was Paula. I'm not sure which.
Yeah.
Where she asked
what
that.
kind of soft skills? Yeah. So one thing I know, soft skills is definitely important. I would say right now, because we're still in a pandemic, one of the top number one is adaptability. This was a study done by LinkedIn, where they identified like top 6 soft skills to reveal high potential talent, and adaptability came on the top. The other one was around leadership. Another one was about culture fit as well. But adaptability is an important one to showcase. So I think for those who are also thinking about because of the times that we're in around, you want to think about, how did you embrace change? How did you had to adapt to a new environment? How did you had to think outside the box? How did you become resourceful as well?
Perfect. And then probably we have time for one more. So someone's asking how you add a video bio.
Oh, good question. So first of all, you want to record it, right? You can record it on your phone or anything on your computer there. And then you want to maybe upload it to your, let's say YouTube as an example. And then you can link that to LinkedIn. So they'll allow you to insert that link there. Okay. So you need to upload it somewhere and then insert that link.
So we have someone asking about the session. Are you allowing it to be recorded? the session?
Yeah, it is recording. Yeah,
We
well,
will,
definitely we can share the recording.
Perfect. So Fiona, we'll upload it to our YouTube channel, and then we'll send a link in the reminder email to our YouTube channel so you can view the recording. But people can reach out to you directly, right? If they have questions, I think your contact YK Chan on LinkedIn. They can message you through LinkedIn if they have additional questions about your services or about.
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, everyone, so much. Thank you. So it's a very impactful as usual and useful as usual. So thank you so much, Diana. You're such a fabulous speaker, and you just add so much value. So we really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Everyone, stay positive. And one of my favorite sayings, own your greatness with confidence to shine. So believe in yourself that you have what it takes. Yes, my favorite saying there.
Yeah, positivity is like the most important right now. We all have to just try to be super positive. So
absolutely.
All right.
All right. You take care. Bye, everyone.
And just so everybody knows, our next session will start at 1:50, so in about 3 minutes. And it's with Canon. So we're pretty excited. We've got some recruiters online with Canon. So if you click on the left-hand side on sessions, you'll see their session pop up and you can enter in. It should be there now. So thanks so much, Diana.
All right. Take care. Bye, guys.